Good morning. This is Ed Maeda, and I'm a realtor here in Davis, California. Today is January 12th, 2007, and we are going to conduct a HERS inspection at my residence. And I'd like to introduce Mr. Craig Iden from Golden State.
Hi, I am Craig Iden with Golden State Energy Consultants. Today we're going to be doing an energy audit and more specifically a HERS rating. What that encompasses is getting all the orientation of the home, figuring out which direction the home faces, how many windows on each side of the home and what type of windows those are, and what their exposure is, if they're shaded, if they have full sun. Information like that is the first stuff that I'm going to be gathering. From there I'm going to gather information regarding appliances, the water heater, the HVAC system, the age of them, the size of them, their output. Some of the other appliances I gather a little information from. Refrigerator, whether we have one in the kitchen. Sometimes people have garage refrigerators. I'm going to gather that information. Dishwasher information. And all that information gets put into a software, which will end up giving us our HERS score. On top of that, some of the other items that we do that are really useful are a blower door test, which we depressurize the home. We're actually pulling air into the home with a device that gets hooked up to the front door. Everything else is sealed shut, and we can determine where air leakage is coming in. We use an infrared camera to determine where the air leakage is coming in. Sometimes you can use a smoke gun, smoke pencil to determine it. Infrared camera works great because you can view large areas at once, and it also can tell you if you're lacking insulation in places as well. Insulation is another crucial issue. We're going to look up in the attic and see what the levels are and see if there are any voids and improvements that can be made from there. Lastly, we will do a duct pressure test where we seal off the registers to the system, pressurize the system, and we can determine how much that system is leaking. An average home can leak as much as 30%. More than that if you have a disconnected line. So it's very important to find out the leakage of the duct system and where we can make improvements there. Once all this information is gathered, put into the software system, it'll produce a HERS score. A HERS score is anywhere between 0 to 300. A score of 100 is the equivalent of an energy efficient home built in 2008. So that's kind of the number that we're going to be shooting for. For example, if this house ends up being a 165, it's going to show me all the improvements that can be made to the home and where that is going to adjust the HERS score. So it shows you where you can best spend your energy dollars, what improvements are going to be more important than others, and what the total savings would be once all the improvements are made as well. So that's our goal today. We're going to get started and start taking some measurements on the outside, and we'll go from there.
Okay, let's get going. Thanks, Craig.
Right now we're taking some visuals of the house. We're taking some measurements, exterior walls, obviously the length of them, but also the height as well. Looking where we have some vaulted ceilings. We're going to do all the downstairs first, and then we're going to go to the upstairs and measure it separately. Right now we're gathering information of all these windows, gathering the type of window, the measurement, the orientation, which side they're facing, if they're shaded or not. You can see we have some trees around here, and we have a shaded area over the front door as well. So that's where we're at right now. We're going to do the whole house, and then we're going to move inside and start gathering some other information.
You're on.
Okay, now we're just going to gather some information. This particular house has two HVAC systems, one for the downstairs, one for the upstairs. I'm taking model numbers on here, and then when I take it back to my office, I'll be able to look up, find out what year they were manufactured. All that's going to be into the system, and then it'll show us if we were to replace it and put in a new system, how much that would affect that HERS score, and if it's worthwhile to go ahead and change them. Given the newer units have better efficiency, people can at least justify if it's worthwhile, depending on how long they're going to stay in the home, if they should change out the system and improve it. So I'm gathering information here. I'm going to do the same thing to the water heater and to some of the appliances that are inside the house as well.
Go.
Right now we have the blower door set up. We're going to depressurize the house. We're actually going to be pulling air in. Everything else should be closed up. And when we're pulling air in, we'll be able to go through with an infrared camera and determine where our air leaks are. This device here is going to show us what our leakage is per 50 pascals. That's the form of measurement they decided to use in the United States. So we're going to see how many CFMs are actually leaking. So we're going to start this up, and we're going to go around and take a little look. Let this back, I can actually look over here with the infrared camera, and you can see my handprint in the view of the camera. It's that sensitive where it's going to take the temperature differential just from the heat of my hand touching that. If we take a little walk over here by the front door, we should be able to see if we have any air leaks around the front door. You can see the blue area is the cooler area. I'm not seeing any wide streaks. A little bit. Let's check down towards the bottom of the door.
So what are you looking for? You're looking for red is bad or red is good?
It depends. If it's summertime, you're going to have red coming into the house because it's warmer outside than it is inside. In this case, it's in the winter, so it's going to be cooler outside. So this door actually is not too bad. I don't see a lot of blue streaking. You're going to see a little bit of blue on there, and that's because of the frame of the door is going to be cooler. And you can see there's a little bit of blue on the right side of the trim, which probably did not get caulked when the house was built because people don't see it because they can't get over to that corner. So that could probably use some caulking. Other advantages of using the infrared camera, especially on vaulted ceilings, is you can see where there's a lack of insulation. You see that blue up there. The installer didn't get the insulation all the way back into the edge of the attic. So areas that sometimes you can't access just by looking at it, the infrared camera will be able to tell you where those areas are and where you're lacking insulation. A couple areas in a house like that probably not going to make a huge difference, but in a smaller room where you might feel drafts or cool spots, or if you end up with a lot of areas like that, then it needs to be taken care of, and adding the insulation will make a difference. So that's how the blower door test works. It'll actually find any kind of leakage you have, shows you with the infrared camera where you're lacking insulation, and it'll give us a number of the actual leakage for the house and where we can improve it.
Cool. Good.
Okay, right now we're doing the duct testing where we're actually pressurizing the ducts. You can look over here and see we have some holes and some duct blocks that are blocking off all the registers in the home. And then we're pressurizing at the return. So I'm going to put this at 25 pascals is the reading that we're looking for here. On this particular unit, or this particular house, we have two HVAC units. This one for the lower area is a 3.5 ton unit. And we're looking at leakage at about 400 CFM per ton. So that would bring us to 1,400 CFM of total for this particular unit. I'd like to see it around 10% leakage. So our number can be around 140. We're looking pretty good. If it were a brand new home, it'd have to be 6% leakage. If it were a new system hooked onto an old duct system, we can't exceed 15% leakage. So we're going to see what our number is after we turn this on. And we start pressurizing it, and we'll take the reading. Right at 300. So at 300, we're looking at about 22% leakage. So there's definitely some room for improvement here.
Okay.
So we'll take a look at it, make those improvements, and see where we're at after the improvements are made.